Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Vadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Ramo Rajamani Sada Vijayate Ramam Ramesham Bhaje Ramena Vihata Nisha Charachamu Ramaya Tasmai Namaha. Ramannasti Parayanam Parataram Ramasya Dasosmyaham Rame Chittalaya Sada Bhavatu Me Bho Rama Mamuddhara Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahma Vidwaram Satgurum Brahma Vidwaram. Akhandam Satchidanandam Avang Manasagocharam Atmanam Akhiladharam Ashraye Bhishta Siddhaye Arthato Pyadvayanandan Ati Tadvaita Bhanatah Guruna Radhya Vedanta Saram Vakshe Yathamati. Hari Om, everyone. Wish you all a very happy Navaratri. We invoke the grace and blessings of Divine Mother to bless us with a pure mind so that we might do Sankramanam across Darshanas. We were seeing the portion of different schools of thoughts, Darshanas. Sankramanam means graduate from one Darshan to another Darshan. Coincidentally, in our Indian school of thoughts, there happens to be 9 Darshanas. So prayer to Divine Mother is, please take us from the first one to the 9th one by opening up things for us in different ways. Of course, 9 days is very short to go from Charvak Darshan all the way to Vedanta Darshan. But we will notice, for us to graduate from one Darshana to another Darshana, it needs lot of calmness of mind. These Darshanikas who are there, they had lot of tapasya behind their chintanam. Their thinking was backed with their tapasya, their austerity, and other sadhanas followed with a strict routine, disciplined life, lived with values. Result of that was all this extraordinary thoughts that we are learning right now. And we are just not even, just at the tip of the iceberg right now, not even going deep into every darshana. How we have Vedanta and its elaborate Prakarana Granthas, texts and everything. Like this, each Darshana has their own Prakarana Granthas, their own more elaborate details, which we are not going into. But the prayer is, may we get the right message from every Darshana and go finally towards where we want to go, that is Advaita Darshan. We had seen the first Darshana was Putratmavada, where every Darshana started with this idea, how do we do Dukkha Nivrutti? How can keep sorrow away for good? And how can we attain that thing which is Paramananda Prapti? Prapti means to attain. How can I attain that Paramananda? Supreme most bliss, which is not conditioned by any other thing. Having attained which, I don't have to attain anything else. So one school of thought said, adjust the things outside. That alone will give the supreme most joy. And all these darshanas are such, you cannot outrightly refute. If things are very conducive outside, it does give ananda. And Vedanta also does not dismiss that. Vedanta says that ananda is very uncertain, and at some point there is a chance that it will change. Why there is a chance? It is going to change. So are we ready for that? So Vedanta sadhaka also prays for conducive situations, but he prays to a level where he says, Bhagwan, I can do my sadhana well. I can do my main goal pursuing very well. I am not seeking that condition itself as the goal. That would be an erroneous goal. Something which is changing, I am seeking that to be permanent. So that is Putratmavada, the first one. Then came Dehatmavada. They said, for the sake of this physical body, we let go of outside things also. If there is a fire, I save myself first, then saving the house. So what is dearer? What is the nature of Atma? Atma means that which is permanent, that which is most dear to me. That is how they are defining Atma. They say, body is dearer to me than any outside thing. So then it has to be this body which is Atma. Then came which Darshana? Indriyatmavada. They said, without Indriyas, what is your physical body? Now, Karmendriya and Jnanendriya, both we should include. If hands don't work, then body is not working. Ability of ears to go down, or if our ability of ears go down, I feel my ability is going down. You see how much we are identified with sense organs. Now this we see in great Mahatmas, how they can be detached from sense organs. In particular, if there is some sense organ which is not functioning at all. One Mahatma Ji is in Chitrakoot, Ram Bhadracharya Ji, Prajna Chakshu, not having physical eyes, but entire Ramcharitmanas memorized, Bhagavatam memorized, all quotations in his pravachans, and he can do kathas, long kathas. He is one of the only acharya whom, at least I found, has written a commentary on Hanuman Chalisa. It's called Mahaviri Vyakhya. Very technical. We are doing Hanuman Chalisa and Sankramanam, so I was just going through it. And you don't know whether it is Vedanta or Hanuman Chalisa that he is talking about. He will do Tatparya Nirnaya. He will do a lot of whatever we do in Vedanta, those things he will do for Hanuman Chalisa Chaupais, taking support of Upanishad, taking support of other things. But Prajna Chakshu, whatever he has learned is only through years, but his Viveka is that powerful. So this is Indriyatmavada, which was refuting Dehatmavada. They say we consider ourselves to be Indriyas. Then came Pranatmavada. They said, who gives power to these Indriyas? How do your sense organs even function? If pranas are not there, sense organs cannot even move. And if pranas are imbalanced a little bit, we feel I am getting imbalanced. Imbalance means our energy level goes down. Sometimes we feel very excited. Both of these things are pranas only. The enthusiasm part in our personality comes from prana. The physical part, the emotional part comes mainly from mind. Both are there. Mind also contributes, pranas also contribute. We have seen it just in the last 2 years, right? If we get a small cold, no matter what Vedanta is there, no matter what other things are there, we don't feel like doing anything. So that is prana. Then they said, do you even recognize prana if mind is not there? If mind is not there, pranas are not even recognized. So mind has to be Atma. And whatever thing we consider as Atma, our effort will be only in that thing, to adjust that thing, to keep that thing very, very good, in a very good condition. You see, that is this mind. And we see so many statements we see in the world also, where people say mind is everything. Take care of mind, everything is taken care of. Now remember, Vedanta also says that. Mana jeete jaga jeet. If you win the mind, you can win the world. But that is one step, and there are further steps also. So that's why I said every darshana, we have to take the right message, not just outrightly reject Mana Atmavada. They have a point, but we should also appreciate how the next darshana is coming and refuting the previous one. So far so good. Started from Putratmavada, came until Mana Atmavada. Now next darshana came. What was that darshana? Buddhi Atmavada. Kshanika Vijnana. They said, whatever instrument is there, that instrument is not independent. If there is a pen, that pen needs a wielder who can use that pen to write. Pen cannot decide what I should write, and that pen doesn't have its own pravrutti. Pravrutti means it cannot just start acting on its own. So here also, they say this mind is a karana. Mind is an instrument. It is gathering information from all the sense organs. It is having emotions. All of that is true, but there needs to be one entity which is handling all of those processes of the mind. And that entity is Buddhi. This is what is more innermost. Is it mind or is it Buddhi? So Bhatta Darshana said it is Buddhi which is more interior than mind. That is why Buddhi has to be Atma. This is where we saw a little bit, more about Kshanika Vijnana Darshana and Bhatta Darshana also. Now Bhatta Darshana, there are two, or there are four actually. The one we saw was Yogachara or Kshanika Vijnana. Then there is Sautrantika, Vaibhashika, and Shunyavada. So we are in this Vedanta Saar text, we are only going to see Yogachara and Shunyavada. The other two we had seen in Kenopanishad. What they say, what is their point of view. So we will not go into that. But before we go into Shunyavada, the one who is going to refute Buddhi Atmavada, one who is going to refute Atma is Buddhi, that darshana is called as Mimamaka Darshana. And what was their logic? They said if you say Atma is Buddhi, it should be there in all, it should be there at all times. What happens in deep sleep? In deep sleep, if your Buddhi itself is getting dissolved, let it be Kshanika, let it be whatever you want to call it. If Buddhi is getting dissolved, that substratum of dissolution, that is more interior to your Buddhi also. That is more interior, and that has to be Atma. So you see what they say now, Mimamsaka. There are two views within that, but the first one is Prabhakara and Bhatta. 129. Prabhakara Tarkikau tu Anyontara Atma Anandamayah Ityadi Shrutehe Buddhyadinam Ajnane Laya Darshanat Aham Ajnaha Aham Jnani Ityadi Anubhavat Cha Ajnanam Atmeti Vadatah. Here, Aham Ajnaha, Aham Ajnani is given, right? Ma full is there. So if you actually split there, it should be Aham Ajnani. But in the commentary which is there, Vidwan Manoranjani, they have split this as Aham Jnani. So you can just mark it. It is not Aham Ajnani, because just before that he says Aham Ajnaha. Again, why would he say Aham Ajnani? So this experience that I am ignorant. And after waking up, he says, or some other time he says, I am Jnani. So knowledge and ignorance, in that way you should take it. So Prabhakara Tarkika, Prabhakara and other Tarkikas, Nyaya Vaisheshika, they say, Anyontara Atma Anandamaya. This Atma is not even Buddhi, it is Anandamaya. Means it is Karana Avastha. It is full of Ananda. Because in deep sleep, there is a lot of Ananda. It is full of Ananda, but it is different from Buddhi. Full of Ananda is fine. Is it Jnana Rupa or Ajnana Rupa? They say it is Ajnana Rupa. Ananda is there and Ajnanam is also there. Ityadi Shrutehe Buddhyadinam Ajnane Laya Darshanat. Of Buddhi, etc. In Ajnanam, there is Laya which is happening in deep sleep. And this Ajnanam is inert, it is Dravya Matra, and that is the nature of Atma. How does knowledge take place? They say when mind and this Atma, they come together, with their contact, knowledge is produced. So in deep sleep, there was no contact. That's why there was no knowledge. You see, they have analyzed Sushupti more than Jagrat and Swapna. If in Jagrat Swapna, our mind is very agitated. It is extrovert. They say whatever you see through this extroverted mind, it is not Atma. They don't even start with that. But they come to Sushupti Avastha and they say, now you analyze here, what is the nature of Atma? Ajnane Laya Darshanat Aham Ajnaha. What do we feel in deep sleep? You say, I did not know anything. Aham Ajnaha. And later on, when contact is there with mind and Atma, you say Aham Jnani. I have known something, I am perceiving the world in that way. Ityadi Anubhavat cha Ajnanam Atma iti vadata. Because of this experience, they say Ajnanam itself is Atma. One thing you will notice, starting from Putratmavada, as we go across Darshana, right, number of followers start going down and down. Now you can imagine how many we will have when we reach to Advaita Vedanta. Because you see, that is their goal. They are saying, Ajnanam is Atma, that is what I have to seek. Putratmavada, Dehatmavada, there are a lot of following. But as it becomes subtler, even Mimamaka Darshana, the number of followers is very few. Traditional Mimamsa. Last time I had mentioned this Prabhakara Mata is called Guru Matam. And I had said there was a statement that Prabhakarji, he explains to his teacher Kumarila Bhattaji. And that statement, what he makes, that is what pleases Kumarila Bhattaji, and he gives this title, from today onwards, you are Guru. And some of our sadhakas very diligently looked up that statement. They wrote to me. Thanks to them. And that statement is this one. Atrapi noktam, tatrapi noktam, iti dviruktam. Atrapi noktam. Literal meaning is, here also it is not said. Atrapi na uktam. Tatrapi na uktam. There also it is not said. Iti dviruktam. Therefore it is said twice. Sandhi students should appreciate this more. You will enjoy this more, Sanskritam. Atrapi noktam, right? Noktam can be split as na uktam. And tatrapi noktam means tatra api na uktam. Guna sandhi. But here Prabhakara says, it is not to be split in this way. It should be split as atra apina uktam. Means here, by the word api it is said. Apina means by api. Atra apina uktam, tatra tuna uktam. There it is said with tu. So that where the place where you split, that decides the interpretation of that word. So the statement was atrapi noktam, tatrapi tunoktam. Tu also should be there. So it should be atra apina uktam, tatra tuna uktam. So with that, he says this is how you can say iti dviruktam. That's why it is said twice. Once it is said with api, second time it is said with tu. So then the teacher says you are guru. Okay. Now this is Prabhakara Mata. Another matam is Bhatta Mata. Same within Mimamsaka only. Kumarila Bhattaji was teacher of Prabhakarji, and with whom Bhagwan Shankaracharya wanted to have a debate. The same Kumarila Bhatta. Two main acharyas who have written commentaries on Shabara, Swamiji's work, Jaimini Sutras. That is their main work. From that, all of this acharyas have elaborated more and more. 130. Bhattastu prajnana ghana eva anandamayaha ityadi shrutehe sushuptau prakasha aprakasha sadbhavat mam aham na janami ityadi anubhavacha ajnana upahitam chaitanyam atmeti vadati. Now Bhatta Darshana, they are not refuting that Atma is Anandamaya. You see what they say? Prajnana ghana eva Anandamaya. They say we don't have problem with Ananda part. Atma is Anandamaya. But it cannot be only Ajnana Swarupa. Why? They say, you see the Shruti, it says Prajnana ghana eva Anandamaya. Prajnana ghana means it is Prajna Avastha. Consciousness conditioned by ignorance. They say that is Atma. Consciousness conditioned by ignorance. Why? Logic is given. Sushuptau, in deep sleep. Prakasha aprakasha sadbhavat. There is knowledge also and there is ignorance also. Prakasha means knowledge. Aprakasha means ignorance. How is that? Look at the statement we make when we wake up. Mam aham na janami. I did not know myself in deep sleep. You say, if you are using the word janami, then jnanam has to be there. Means if I go somewhere and say that I did not see anybody, although you did not see, that seeing was part of knowledge. Right? So in deep sleep also, when we make the statement, Mam aham na janami, this is janami part is jnana swarupa atma, and na janami, that na part is abhava or ajnanam. So what is the nature of atma? They say it is chit achit swarupa or jnana ajnana swarupa. Logical, right? Whatever they have concluded. You see the precision in their thinking. In Vedanta, what do we say? When we say ajnana or maya and Brahma is together, how can they be together? We say one is real, another is unreal. Brahma is absolute reality. Ajnanam is vyavaharik satyam. Real, unreal can coexist. And the unreal does not come to condition the real. Right? So it is not that because Ajnanam is seen along with Brahma, Brahma has gotten conditioned by Ajnanam, really speaking. But they say there is nothing called as unconditioned Brahma. The absolute reality is Brahma plus Maya. Both of them will be together, and that is the absolute reality. न जानामि इति अनुभवाच्च अज्ञान उपहितं चैतन्यम आत्मा इति वदति. Ajnana upahita chaitanyam. Consciousness conditioned by ajnanam. The previous one was only ajnanam. This one is ajnanam conditioned by, or consciousness conditioned by ajnana. Ajnana upahita chaitanyam atma iti vadati. And the example we had seen, they say khadyotavat. Khadyota means firefly. Half part is lit up, half part is dark. So they say this atma is also like that. See, both are real. Firefly, both parts are real. So for them, ajnanam is also real, Brahma is also real, and they are always together. For Vedanta, it is unreal snake and real rope, they can coexist in the same locus. But if you give reality to both, then we will end up in Mimamaska Darshana. Bhatta. Now comes Shunyavadans. They are very quietly sitting and meditating, very calm and quiet. Now Shunyavadan is speaking. His simple objection, first let us understand the objection. He says, what are you saying? Ajnana upahita chaitanya is Atma. How can Ajnana and Jnana stay in the same locus? He says it is like saying that this room is lit up also, this room is dark also. Light and darkness cannot stay together in the same locus, nor can they meet each other. So he refutes all different kind of coming together, which is possible. Sambandha it is called. He says it cannot be samana adhikarana, it cannot be sanyoga sambandha, it cannot be swashraya sambandha. These three are different types of sambandhas which can be there when two things come together. Sanyoga sambandha we had seen in Kenopanishad. If you take a plate and put a cup on top of it, the relationship between both of them is called as sanyoga sambandha. And you can separate it out. Both are independent. The relationship between cloth and the thread, that is samvaya sambandha. So like this, there are different sambandha. He says, you cannot have any of them. In one locus, knowledge and ignorance cannot coexist. In one locus, you cannot have both of them functioning together with the same degree of reality. So then what is your proposition? He says, I will tell you now. Aparo bauddhaha asadevedamagra asit asadevedamagra asit ityadi shrutehe sushuptau sarva abhavat aham sushuptau na asam iti uthitasya swa abhava paramarsha vishaya anubhavat cha shunyam atmeti vadati. Aparo Bauddha. There is another school of thought of Bauddha, which is Shunyavada. They say, Asadeveda asit. They also quote Upanishads and say, in the beginning of creation, there was Asat alone. But there is only one part of the quotation which is there. Actually, what it says is, how can this be true? This is quoted over here, Asadeveda asit. How can Sat Vastu come from Asat Vastu? That's what the Upanishad says, but they are taking only the first part of it. Asadevedam agra asit. Ityadi shrutehe sushuptav. Bauddha Darshan is telling Purvamimamsaka, you also look at sushupti only. What happens there? Sarva abhavat. Abhava of everything happens. Even ajnanam is not there. Even ajnanam is not there. There is only void. Sarva abhavat aham sushuptav na asam. He says, you are also not there. When you wake up, what do you feel? You are there and now you are waking up? Or do you feel that you are totally absent in deep sleep? You see, Anubhava also they are bringing it so close. If one doesn't have Vedantic perspective or the vocabulary to even think about this, every Darshana looks right. He says, when I woke up, I did not know anything. So he says, it is abhava only. Aham na asamiti uthitasya. Sushuptav na asamiti uthitasya. Swa abhava paramarsha. Paramarsha means recollection. Smruti over here is the meaning of paramarsha. This I recollect my own absence in deep sleep. So what has to be that Atma? What has to be the nature of that Atma? They say it has to be Shunyam. It is not another Ajnana Upahita Chaitanya, consciousness conditioned by any of your other conditionings that you are talking about. It is only a void. Vishaya Anubhavacha Shunyam Atma iti vadati. They say Shunya alone is Atma. Now this question comes in lot of different texts. Even the student, there is a chance that if he is very, very careful and he is thinking about refuting or negating this word, neti neti, he might end up or come to a point where he is in Shunyavada. So in Viveka Chudamani also we find this. All conditionings are described. And these conditionings, one by one, they are negated through logic and everything. And finally, the student says, oh teacher, if I negated all my conditionings, he's not saying if, he's actually going and sitting down and trying to negate them. He says, I have negated everything, but now what I see is only void. There is some kind of shunyam that I see. Is that the absolute truth? Why do you say that? There is some Atma which is different from everything else. Teacher is so pleased with this question, Vivek Chudamani. This very precise question. Then he goes on to answer that. Although it is not mentioned here, there are few perspectives that Vedanta has towards Shunyavada. One thing is, Vedanta says, why do you say there is abhava of everything in Sushupti? Prajna is very well there. Prajna is, Bhagavan Shankaracharya in one place writes, Prajna is walking around. Although Vishayas are not there, objects are not there, there is this Prajna Avastha, which is very well there. So how can you say there is complete abhava in Sushupti? Okay, this is one. Second is, they say whenever you see the world, when you come out of Sushupti, you see dream state and you see waking state in particular. And how are we seeing it? Are we seeing it as Shunyam or are we seeing it as an existing entity? It is a Sat Vastu, not absolute Sat. We agree with that one, but at least it is known as existent. So he says, if at the root you have non-existent entity, how can existent effect come from non-existent cause? It is just like saying, I got allergy, pollen allergy. From where did you get it? From sky flower. From a non-existent entity like sky flower, a positive result cannot come like pollen allergy. Or it is like saying, I made a nice decorative piece, Navaratri is there, I will bring. So from what did you make? Horns of a rabbit. Asat Vastu cannot produce Sat effect. So he says if world is experienced as Sat, it cannot come from Asat Vastu. That is Vedanta's main, counter to Shunyavada. And also another thing is, they say Shunyam also becomes Drushya. If I am observing Shunyam, there has to be an observer of that Shunyata. So this is, in simple words, what Vedanta has to say. But these darshanas are not so easy. Shunyavada also knows that Vedanta is going to do this. So they do something called as Chatushkoti Nisheda. It's very subtle and very different, the way they think. They say, do you say it is Shunyam? They say, no, we don't say it is Shunyam. Do you say it is Sat? They say, no, we don't say it is Sat also. Do you say it is neither? No, we don't say that. Do you say it is both? No, we don't even say that. Did you get it? If you got it, you got it. I mean, they are also not objectifying Shunyam, because the moment you say Shunyam is Drushya, Vedanta will jump and say, who is the Drashta? Right? So they have their own way of explaining, but we should appreciate what Shunyavada has said and how Vedanta is different from Shunyavada. See, one way to say is all these darshanas are the same. And we hear that also, Many sadhakas say all darshanas are the same. We say all darshanas are same as long as it comes to sadhanas. As long as it is living an ethical life, values, all of that, all darshanas are very, very similar. But when it comes to Siddhanta, there are nuances. And actually speaking, Vedanta doesn't have problem with any darshana. Right? If you make a Vedantan sit along with Shunyavada, Dvaita Darshana, Vishishta Dvaita Darshana, all of them Vedanta can put in perspective. But that doesn't mean all darshanas are pointing out to the same thing. Right? And one Mahatma Ji said, this statement, right, that all darshanas are saying the same thing, you ask the other darshana whether they can say the same thing, that we are saying the same thing that Vedanta is saying. And not one person saying this. One person doesn't have validity. It should be said somewhere in the scripture, in their authentic text, which says whatever we are saying, that is the same thing that Vedanta is saying. If that was not the case, why would they have Purva Paksha? So much of Purva Paksha is there, debate is there between different darshanas. Right? So there are nuances. We should just take the relevant ones that we can benefit from and focus more on Vedanta Darshana. Okay. Now comes this later part where Vedanta is going to answer different darshanas on the same strength now. What were the three tools that were used by every darshana? Shruti, Yukti, and Anubhuti. All three are important. Sometimes what happens is we get very fascinated by Anubhuti. Anubhuti means what? Literal meaning is experience. Now, experience, different people can say they had different experiences. Whom will you take as valid? Whom will you let go of as valid experience? In our Vedanta, we say Anubhava is a very technical word. There are two parts there, Anu and Bhava. Anu means after. Bhava means that which happens after something. So after Praman Vyapara, the conviction that arises in a person, that conviction is called as Anubhava. After Praman Vyapara, if mind has been purified, sadhanas have been done, austerities have been done. After that Praman Vyapara, Anu, Praman Vyaparat Anu, Yad Anubhavaha Bhavati, Tat Anubhavaha. Or Yat Nishchayaha Bhavati, Tat Anubhavaha. So any Mahatmas, whatever Anubhava they speak about, it is always in line with Upanishad. If somebody like Raman Maharshi is saying that this Jagat is only vritti, it is only an appearance, come to this aham, and from that aham go to kutastha aham. That is Upanishad Prakriya, Drigdrisha Viveka. Or any other great saint, great Mahatma, their words are Anubhava because they have followed this process, gained knowledge through Shastra, and their conviction is in line with Shastra. So that is called as Anubhava. Then why do we need Shruti Mantra? Because Shruti Mantras are our main pramana, the valid means of knowledge to know about nature of Atma. What is the nature of that supreme truth? It is not some intellection, but we need Upanishad mantras for that. Now, can we just stop at Anubhava and Shruti? What is wrong in just stopping at Upanishad mantras and Anubhava? Why do we need logic or Yukti? We say sometimes even our mind can get this thought that maybe all these Shruti mantras, whatever they are saying, it is only Arthavada. Arthavada means praise. Because somebody is very devoted, somebody is very emotional about some topic, they're only praising it. This is actually not the fact. To avoid that, to avoid Arthavada Buddhi, Yukti can be used. Means it's not only said in Upanishads and Shruti mantras, there is logic on top of that Shruti mantra which can give deeper conviction. Like in Kenopanishad we are seeing right now, Ishvara Siddhi Prakaranam. Now we don't need logic per se to establish nature of Bhagavan, presence of Bhagavan. We can say my Anubhava is sufficient. Although here it counts only Vidvad Anubhava, but we can say even Sadhaka's Anubhava there is sufficient. But Yukti will make sure that once our intellect accepts a thing to be true, then it won't be shaken easily. No matter who says what, which Anubhava comes. If it is contrary also, I will go back again to Shruti Mantra, I will go back to Yukti. So this is why three things are mentioned. And Vedanta also will use the same thing now. Until now, Vedanta did not speak. Conference was going on, all different Darshanas were sitting, each Darshana was putting forth their point, and Vedanta said, other Darshan is already refuting. Why should we go and refute? So Vedanta is going to refute only Shunyavada. You see what is said in 132 and 33. Etesham putradinam etesham anatmatvam uchyate anatmatvam uchyate etaihi ati prakrutavadibihi ati prakrutadivadibihi ati prakrutadi vadibihi ukteshu shruti yukti anubhava abhaseshu purva purvokta shruti yukti anubhava abhasanam uttarottara shruti yukti anubhava abhasaihi atmatva Bhatta Darshanat putradinam anatmatvam spashtameva etaihi ati prakrutadi vadibihi ukteshu shruti yukti anubhava abhaseshu. Means starting from Putratmavada all the way until Shunyavada, whatever they said on the support of Shruti, Yukti and Anubhuti, Bhagavan says there was only Abhasa of Shruti, Abhasa of Yukti and Abhasa of Anubhuti. Abhasa means when you hear it, it looks very convincing. But there are very subtle nuances, there are subtle shortcomings in that Shruti quotation, in the Yukti, and also in Anubhuti. Anubhuti is something, it has proven to be wrong several times. Right? Our Anubhava says something, but unless we use Yukti and valid pramana, we will never get the right knowledge. The best example is sunrise and sunset. What does Anubhava say? There is sunrise and there is sunset. Anubhava says the earth is not moving. It is flat. Fortunately, I can do my things. Anubhava says so many things. But Anubhava by itself is not pramana. That is called as Anubhava Abhasa. It is Anubhava, but it is only an illusion or an appearance. There is actually not a fact over there. So whatever previous person has said, Purva Purvokta Shruti Yukti Anubhava Abhasanam, Uttarottara Shruti Yukti Anubhava Abhasaihi. The later Darshana which came, they also used Shruti Mantra, Yukti and Anubhava to refute the previous one. Atmatva Bhatta Darshana. Bhatta means what, Its reality has been negated. It is not non-perception, but the reality given to that thing, that has been taken away. Erroneous notions have been corrected. So with that, we went one step ahead. So when you see the blue sky, the blueness in the sky, what should we do? Badha or Nisheda? So we just have to do Badha. The reality given to that blueness should be taken away. We don't have to insist on Nisheda. That only when the sky becomes white in color, I will know that sky doesn't have color. He said, no. Badha is sufficient. And all of them have done Badha of previous darshanas. They have said Atma cannot be these things. Atmatva Bhatta Darshanat Putradinam Anatmatvam Spashtameva. All Anatmas, starting from the first Darshana, Putratmavada, all the way until Shunyam, he says that is Spashtam. But as we saw in the beginning, it might be Spashtam on paper. Means you have done a lot of analysis to show that outside world is not Atma, body is not Atma, mind is not Atma. But if we lack in Vairagya, all of that has not served its full purpose. The purpose of the discussion is such that after having known what is Anatma, having this Vairagya towards Anatma. Vairagya is not Gruna. Gruna means some kind of aversion, distaste. Not in that way, but just knowing that this thing cannot be the goal of my life. Or paramananda prapti cannot come through any solutions coming from these anatmas. That is what we started, right? The journey was to seek paramananda. So either from physical body, mind, buddhi, no matter what solutions are there, no matter what I do to keep them as the best of the best, paramananda prapti is not going to come from that. Having gotten Vairagya from entire Jagat, that person seeks something which is different from Jagat. What did Bhagavan tell Arjuna? Traigunya Vishaya Vedaha Nistragunyo Bhavarjuna. Arjuna, this world is made up of three gunas. Whatever results we are going to get, it is part of three gunas only. And the nature of these things are such that they are impermanent and they have a lot of limitations in them. Use them to just keep going with your life, but your goal of your life should be Nistragunyo Bhavarjuna. It's an injunction to Arjuna. Keep that Atma as your goal, which is different from three gunas, different from this world. That is the whole purpose of this Darshanas, whatever we are going to see now. Now there is something called as Prabala Shruti, Prabala Yukti. Prabala means more powerful. If you noticed, one thing what happened in the previous Darshanas was they were quoting Upanishad mantras. But there was an mantra following right after that, which would come and refute the previous one. So the one that comes later, that is called as Prabala Shruti. Later, not only sequentially. What it means is, in your understanding, that understanding is more powerful because it has refuted the previous one. It is something like this. If I ask somebody to get a glass of water, I request somebody to get a glass of water, but then I say, oh, never mind, I have brought my water bottle with me. Right? I made both statements, right? Get a glass of water, and never mind, I have a water bottle with me, I'm good. Now that person goes, brings the glass of water and says, here. I say, no, I have my glass of water bottle. I said, no, you only made that first statement. You told me to get glass of water. He says, no, second one is Prabala over the first one. If you said something and later on you yourself refuted it, that means I should hold on to the second one and move on to that second statement. So here also, whenever Upanishads are saying, you are mind, you are this body, Anyontara Atma, Manomayaha, Anyontara Atma, Vijnanamayaha. What they want is, we should move from the previous kosha to the next kosha. From that kosha, move on to the further kosha, finally arrive at Shuddha Chaitanya. So until that point, whatever is coming before are like that first statement. Upanishad is going to say, you are none of these. That is the final statement, and that is more powerful than all the previous ones. Okay, this is called as Prabala Shruti. And this is the discussion which happens between different Darshanikas. Whenever they write Bhashya, this is the discussion that happens. Now, there's a very interesting way of refuting all the Darshanas. But please do remember again and again, refuting word is also more to do with our sadhana chatushtaya. It is not only on paper, but more we should sit down and say, which darshana am I living right now? And what new perspective have we gained? And how we can move towards that perspective. Because unless we do vichara, none of these things are going to become clearer. Rather, it won't even appeal. If it has to work in our life, we have to sit down and see, where does my I land right now? When I say aham, where does it land? What thing am I defining myself to be as so closely? So that is the refutation part. Don't take it as literal argument between two people and they're refuting each other. So here, every darshana that came, they said nature of Atma is this. One said Putra, another said Deha, third one said Indriya. So Swamiji has very carefully pulled out Upanishad mantras, and each word is refuting each darshana. He says, you said Atma is anything out, something outside, right? So he says, look at nature of Atma in Upanishad. That is Prabala Shruti. This is the nature of Atma. So you have to be alert to keep matching it. Because we recapped it, it should become easier now. All the darshanas. Now you see, 134. Kincha pratyak asthulah achakshuhu apranah amanaha akarta chaitanyam chinmatram sat ityadi prabala shruti virodhat asya putradi शून्यपर्यन्तस्य जडस्य चैतन्यभास्यत्वेन घटादिवत् अनित्यत्वात् अहं ब्रह्मेति विद्वद् अनुभव प्राबल्याच्च तत् तत् श्रुति युक्ति अनुभव आभासानां बाधितत्वात् अपि पुत्रादि शून्यपर्यन्तम् अखिलम् अनात्मा एव किंच. Moreover, now we will elaborate nature of Atma. Whatever we had seen as different nature of Atma according to other darshanas, every word will refute that particular darshana's understanding of Atma. So the first one is pratyak. Kaschid dhirah pratyagatmanam aikshata. Kathopanishad this comes. The mantra says our sense organs are naturally going out. Bhagwan has made it such that it goes out only. Paranchikhani vyatruranat swayambhu. Anytime mind becomes extrovert, Bhagwan is to be blamed. His sense organs always show things of the outside. It will never show that pratyagatma. But there are few people who will analyze their life and come to realize, I am not going to find that supreme happiness outside. Kaschid dhirah pratyagatmanam aikshata. So Atma is pratyak. So that word pratyak has come to refute putratmavada. So Atma cannot be outside of this sadhaka. This is at least start from this body and go inside, go deeper. So the word pratyak is nature of Atma. It has to be me, myself. In Maharashtra, there's a great saint, Swami Samartha Ramdas Ji Maharaj. He has written a beautiful bhajan where he says, after a long time, I met myself. After a long time, I met myself. Meaning what? Whole life can go in just seeing things outside, thinking ourselves to be something outside, without actually knowing who we are. So the word pratyak is to refute putratmavada. Then comes asthulaha. These are different Upanishad quotations. Asthula is to refute. Now it is easy, same sequence. Dehatmavada means Atma is not sthula. It doesn't have a form. It has not become a particular form. It has not really become a particular form. So asthula is to refute Dehatmavada. Achakshuhu. Achakshuhu is to refute Indriyatmavada. So there are no sense organs in Atma. Now careful here. You see, even one word, it can open up many things for us here. I should think about myself and say, do I think I have sense organs? If I say yes, that is my viparit bhavana. Erroneous notion. Why? Because I am Atma, right? And Atma doesn't have sense organs. If on one hand I say I am Atma, on other hand I say I have sense organ also, he says that is viparit bhavana. Now you see, it becomes easier to say Brahma doesn't have sense organs. Brahma doesn't have physical body. But Vedanta is interested in saying that Brahma you are. So this Aikya part is the uniqueness of Advaita Vedanta Darshan. Until we can digest it, he said that is okay. You can say Brahma doesn't have body, Brahma doesn't have sense organs. But Dukkha Nivritti will happen only when I say I don't have sense organs. Now literally if you make that statement, it looks very odd. who is the one speaking, who is the one listening. You see, that is the beauty of Advaita Vedanta. Vyavahare tu bhatta nyaya. Bhagwan Shankaracharya has written, in transactional world, Kumarila Bhattaji, he is our guru. Means karma siddhanta, his faith in Vedas, karma siddhanta in particular. Do good actions, don't worry about the result. He says in Vyavahara Bhatta Nyaya. But when it comes to Paramartha, there it is Upanishad Matam. Okay. More we will see in the next session. We're out of time. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri